from PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls, this is another making of episode. It's kind of like a watch along, too. This will have an intro from an old episode of Sleep With Me. Then Otter, me talking about Otter things and corresponding episodes of TV shows that inspired it. So it's a little bit different, but this is these making of things. We did it like with Great British Bake Off and Otter things. It was stuff like back when I don't know, when I'm recording this, we're trying to get back to that point where listener support was strong and we're able to do all sorts of experimental stuff like this. And now everybody benefits from it. And that's going to be continue to be the case for the podcast. When the people that benefit the most from the podcast support the show back, we're able to do a lot more for everybody. And this is just another example of it. So thanks so much, everybody. And here's Scoots, or here's something from Scoots. I don't know if it'll be future Scoots or past few Scoots. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, it's time for the podcaster, who, again, is not a podcaster, but, you know, if I was in Ronkonkoma, I'd say I was a podcaster. Or my one of my relatives might say, "Are you working on your podcast?" And I'd say, "No, that's not quite the right accent for Ronkonkoma, Scoots." And I'd say, "You're right, but I'm not good at accents. I'm good at accentuating the fact that you deserve a good night's sleep and over. I don't know if there's like an over accentuation." Overextended accentuations. That's what I said on my last That's what it said on my last accentuation statement. It said I was overextended on my accentuations. It makes me want to say junction. What's your function? Well, I know my function is to make the Sleep With Me, the podcast. It's here to put you to sleep. If you're a regular listener, none of this or if you're new, none of this is important. If you're a regular listener, the next part is that we bring this show twice a week, or remember to look it up when your hand hits the fridge tomorrow. It'll all be in the show notes. Sleep With Me podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states. All right, everybody. It's Scoots here, and I'm talking about a brand new sponsor, Everyday Dose. And if you listen to the show, you know how much I love coffee. But it's complicated, right? I love the smell, the steps of making it in the morning, the quiet time I have alone before I get my day started. But somewhere between the first cup and the second cup, I hit a wall, right? I'm drinking enough coffee to try to give me a jolt of energy, but it doesn't last. And then I start to get that edge, I'm jittery, I'm distracted. Later in the day, I start to lose focus. And then I go back to, wait a second, should I just drink 1 cup? Should I drink 3? Should I drink 4? Was it worth it? Like, what are the benefits? And you also know I'm someone that loves to tinker. I love to play around with stuff. I love testing out new gadgets, upgrades to my routine, doing things smarter. And I was like, man, I wish my coffee was smarter, right? I wish my coffee had an upgrade. Because if regular coffee's like a flip phone, what if there was a version of coffee out there that was like a flagship phone? Something that's like coffee, but without the downsides. And that's when I found Everyday Dose. Everyday Dose is coffee plus benefits. They combine high-quality coffee with powerful ingredients like lion's mane and chaga, collagen protein, nootropics, to fuel your brain, boost focus, and give you clean, sustained energy all day long. It tastes just like coffee without the downside. No crash, no jitters, just clean, sustained energy. Right now, for Black Friday, get 61% off your first Coffee Plus starter kits, a free A2 probiotic creamer, and over $100 in free gifts. Plus, enter for a chance to win $100 cash or get your entire order refunded. Visit everydaydose.com/sleep or use code SLEEP at checkout. Thanks, everybody. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots here, and this message is for super fans, super listeners only. Only those people who listen all night long and fall asleep fast in particular, or you've been listening to the show for years, or you listen 4, 5, 6, 7 nights a week. I'm just wondering during this season of gratitude if you're grateful for what Sleep With Me does in your life. I'm grateful to know I'm helping people out there who can't sleep just like I didn't, or people that can't sleep or just having a hard time in the deep, dark night. But what is it about Sleep With Me you're grateful for? Go ahead, think about it. And would you miss that thing if it's gone? Like all the episodes of the show, me as the host, the show coming out 3 nights a week, new content, a variety of content, hour-plus episodes. Would you miss some of those things if they were gone? Do you think that would impact that thing you're so grateful for? The rest, the comfort, the friendship, the companionship, the distraction, the reliability? If you are, please consider supporting the show right now. In this moment, we need you to support the podcast. Because if you do, if you're the one person, and this is not a joke, like only one person's going to support the show tonight, and it's more than likely it's going to be 0 people. So are you the one person that's going to sign up and support the show because you're thankful for it? Because you're grateful for what it has done for you? If you're grateful for the show and you don't want to have to miss it, it'll be around if you support it. If 0 people support it, it's going to be tough. If you're the one person who supports the show tonight, that means the show will probably be around. It is a paradox because it's going to be either 0 or 1, and you get to decide. Thanks. Oh, Mystery Bard. A lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Posty poster song sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. And hey, the thing I've been talking about lately is like there's ways to support the show beyond the sponsors and supporting the show directly. If you're an occasional listener, right? If you're a new listener or you can't afford to support the show, follow the show on your podcast app of choice. Make sure to like or comment if your app allows that, and say hi. Spread the word about the show in person when it comes up, or let people know about it. Go ahead right now. Follow the show on your podcast app right now. Then you get the latest episodes and stuff like that. Great. Yes, spread the word when you can, or sign up we're relaunching our referral program. It's going to be based with like live stream get-togethers every once in a while. We're going to make it more fun. You could sign up for that. sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer, REFER. Thanks, and what do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. It could be thoughts, things you're thinking about, things on your mind, feelings. So any emotions coming up for you related to the feelings or the thoughts, or they're just emoting. They're just there. Or physical sensations. It could be changes in routine or time or temperature. Whatever it is, it could be many, 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 many things. Whatever it is, I'd like to take your mind off of that. What I'm going to do is, what I propose to do is, whatever's keeping me awake, I'd like to take your mind off that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send my voice. Is there another part? Whatever, keep you up, a tossing, turning mind race, trouble getting asleep, trouble staying asleep. I can't remember the next part. Forgetfulness, that might keep me up later. Yeah, whatever is keeping me awake, I'd like to take your mind off. That's exactly what I'd like to do. I don't think I can do it in a straightforward way. But the way I'm going to do it, and I did get distracted because I was supposed to remember something, and now I can't remember what I was supposed to remember. So I got to apologize to the listener who tried to remind me. Hopefully I'll remember what they told me to remember. But I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use the lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. I'm going to go off topic. I'm going to get mixed up and confused. Oh, boy, all of those things. Upcoming on this episode of Sleep With Me. The pointless meanders, creaky, dulcet tones. Holy moly. Superfluous tangents, ideally creating a safe place to take your mind off stuff as you drift off. Now, a few important things to know if you're new. One is, if you're new, is that this show does not work for everybody. Though there are a few people it has worked for immediately. Like 90% of people say that first 2 or 3 tries they didn't like the show, or they were feeling ambivalent or uncertain or skeptical, or they just weren't into it. And sometimes that's because you have expectations of something different, and sometimes it's because you're just waiting to see what happens, and then the second or third time you realize, well, nothing's really happening. So, like, then you can, so just kind of, so if you're having any of those reactions, it's totally normal. I mean, you say, how many other podcasts have creaky, dulcet tones? And you say, I don't know, the Barn Door cast has creaky, dulcet tones. The old wooden garage door podcast has them. That one podcast from the swamp, I don't know which one, I can't remember what it's called, though. What else? The Creaky Dulcet cast, actually, they have the sweetest voices, but they talk about, I think that's just a tribute cast. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Okay. What was my point? I don't know about that one either, Scoots. So the first thing to know is, yeah, this podcast does not work for everybody, but for 90% of the people that it worked for, took 2 or 3 tries. Which, that's kind of actually 100% better than most sleep solutions. I'm not trying to brag, but maybe even more than that. I'm not good at math either. Because usually for me, it's the opposite. I try something once and it works, and I try it again, it might work. And then the third time I try it doesn't work anymore. Or whatever the other things that said, it made me groggy the next day. Or, I woke up, so sleep actually works the reverse of most sleep solutions. You say most of the time, the first time it doesn't work. It drives you up a wall. But then the second or third time, it gets more effective. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm laughing, because I didn't realize the irony. Made almost 900 episodes. Or this may even be around 900. I don't even know. So that's pretty funny to me. I'm sorry, but it is. They say, wait a second. This is one of the few sleep solutions that doesn't really work initially, but then it starts to work regularly. So give it a few tries, because there's really no investment other than your time. So just kind of see how it goes. Also, don't try to, this kind of piggybacks on that. Don't try to make sense of it. There's another thing I never thought of that doesn't go with bedtime, but I got to point out, piggybacking. No piggybacking. Well, okay, there are exceptions leading up to bedtime, but we'll get into that. But give it a few tries, and don't try to figure the podcast out. It's best consumed in a loose, out of focus way, because it doesn't make any sense initially or later on. You say, wow, as soon as I realized it doesn't make any sense, and that if Scoots was heading towards a point, he would go in a different direction. And building on that, it's a podcast you don't need to listen to. You could just barely listen. And it's not so much meant to to put you to sleep as to be here as you fall asleep, to keep you company as you drift off. So it's more of like your bedtime companion. I try to be your bore friend, your bore bae, your bore bud, your bore bestie versus something more grand. But though being a bore bestie, you can't really do better than that, can you? Which is like your best bore friend. Best bore friend. BBFs, best friends, right? Best. How come isn't there 3 letters in best friend? Best BBF. Don't they say BBF or they just say BF? My best friend. Yeah, I'm your BBF, your best bore friend. I may be missing something in there, but that's one of the keys to the podcast. So those are a few things to know. The other thing that can throw people off is the structure of the show. And I guess the reason someone reminded me recently, they were like, Scoots, can you remember to mention in the intro something? And then I said, no problem. I'll tell you might have to remind me again. And I think it's that some people, the podcast works for the first time, but it could be something else. And I'll try to find their email and reread it because but yeah, do this part of the show could do for everybody because then I don't know. So if you're new, those are for some things to remember. The other thing that could throw new listeners off, but regular listeners like it, is the structure of the show. So a show starts off with a few minutes show starts off with a greeting, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary. So you're welcome here. Then we go into business. That's how we bring the show out twice a week. Then there's an intro, and the intro is around 12 to 18 minutes of me rambling about nothing, but it tries to introduce the podcast to new listeners and give regular listeners a chance to get ready for bed, to get in bed and get comfortable. So, so there's so that's because a lot of new people say, why is the intro so long? It doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? Business the whole time? I say, no. I mean, I guess technically you'd say it's like housekeeping. How come there's no reality Marie Kondo, you got me already. I said, how come there's no reality housekeeping shows? That's what part of my brain said. And now another part of my brain is thinking of like 50, I say, okay, this old house, tidying up, all those fixing and remodeling shows. I guess if I had a show, I would combine it with like a spiritual show or like a values-based show. You should bless this mess. I don't know. Is there a show called that? Because there should be. You say, well, we go to people's house and I don't know what we would do. We'd say, great job. Maybe it would be, we give out rewards for people's houses as they are. Bless this mess. And we fold in a universal message and a universal truth in every episode of dignity, hope, and courage. Bless this mess. Or it could be, we go around, I don't know. So anyway, what does it have to do with anything? So the intro is kind of like this, where I go off topic. So for a new listener, you kind of get an idea of what you're in for. But for a regular listener, they're getting ready for bed, they're winding down, or they're already in bed comfortable. And then about 2% of listeners skip the episode. Maybe this is another thing some people have to remind me of. There's actually more than 2% of people that listen during the day or listen to the whole episodes to relax or for a little break or whatever. And then there's the people that can't sleep. So this is actually that's the other thing about the show, why it's an hour. If you can't sleep, I'm here to keep you company. And also to remind you that there's no pressure to fall asleep. So that's the intro. Then there's some business. Then there'll be our episodically modular serial series, Otter Things, OTTERTHINGS, about Emma Otter and her friends. Real nice, real nice series. And then there'll be some thank yous and stuff. So that's the structure of the show. There's no need to listen, no pressure to fall asleep. And And there's a reason I make the show, and the reason I make the show is twofold. One, you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a place of respite where you can relax and feel good. And two, I've been there. I know how it feels. Tossing and turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep, all those things. And I want to help if I can. And then I guess I mentioned piggybacking at bedtime, but I guess I guess there's like the picturesque piggybacking, which would be either I don't even know what it came up with that term. It sounds like a problematic term to me, to be honest, but you could be the carrier and you're carrying someone into bed and you're saying, hey, toss you into bed now, have fun, good nighty poo. Or you're the gleeful youngster, believe me, I'll get into like it could be two grown adults, and it could be part of your, operational procedures, your warm up. So that's different. But this one would be like, you say, oh, fun, I can't wait to go to sleep. But I guess that's the only time it'd be good. So I guess piggybacking is like more like getting ready for bed. Because you couldn't really piggyback someone in bed. It'd be counterproductive. Because you say, well, my back's tired. Why can't I just put you down? You're already in your bed. But maybe it's like an extended, well, I just want to hold on to your back while you read me a bedtime story. Say, okay, fair enough. I get it. So I guess that didn't really go anywhere. You can't go very far piggybacking anyway. I mean, unless you're like someone that's in phenomenal shape. Even then, I don't know. So that's about it. I mean, I guess that's everything. I'm glad you're here. Give the show a few tries. I just really hope it can help you. I mean, that's why I make the show. But I appreciate you coming by and checking the podcast out. And I really yearn and I strive. I really want to help you fall asleep. Thanks again. And here's a couple ways we're able to bring this podcast twice a week. Hey, everybody, it's Scoots. If you're a Sleep With Me Plus supporter and you're hearing this, you're listening to the ad-supported feed of the podcast, and that means you have not set your table for your holiday celebrations. This is the holiday season, time for Thanksgiving and thinking about what we're grateful for. And I'm telling you, you will be so grateful and so thankful you set up your Sleep With Me Plus content, because it's designed with you, the super listener, in mind. And you want to put all that content in one place, not a music app, not the podcast app you listen to your daytime podcasts in. Pick a podcast app and just put your Sleep With Me Plus content only in there. It's going to change your listening for the show. It's going to make it so much easier to pick your favorites, to make your playlists, to find what you're looking for. You'll be full of sleepy holiday gratitude. But make sure you have your Sleep With Me Plus content set up. If you're listening to this message, you don't have it set up. This is a totally different podcast hosted by a totally different company than the company that hosts the Sleep With Me Plus content. So go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, log in, and set up your bonus content, or contact our support team so they can help you out. support@supercast.com. And you'll be so thankful you did. If you're curious about Sleep With Me Plus, check it out. You get a 7-day trial at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Thanks, everybody. All right. Hey, patrons. It's Scoots here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary, and my patron peeps. It's time, and this will probably be the second half. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, this will be the first one. So if you're up all night tossing, turning, your mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep, well, welcome. This is a Sleep With Me patron exclusive episode of Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. And it's probably the first half because I just put out the first episode of this bonus, to everybody. And I ended up I listened to it a few times. I said, yeah, I think originally I was going to try to put these out as half hour, like 1 hour. And then I said, well, let's put them both together. But because I can only be in the present right now, I don't know. In the future, this will be either 2 episodes back to back or 1 episode. But this is an interesting thing. We've never done it before, except for the episodes I already did, where we take a look at the creation of episodes before they're made. in kind of a pre-commentary and a behind the scenes, but still so sleepy. Oh, so sleepy. So it's a peek into the process, but the kind of peek into the process you say, well, my pillows can be over my head, Scoots. And I say, that's great. That's the exact kind of peek into my process I need is, one where you're snoozing. You could peek at the process from behind your eyelids in a gentle, dreamy sleep. So I'm going to kind of run through where I'm at and where we might be going. And it has been interesting for me making these episodes because I've been in a different place emotionally and creatively each time. So tonight when you're listening to this, but today when I'm recording this, I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot where last recording might not have come through in the recording, but I said, wow, we got a lot more heavy lifting to do to get to where we want to be. Where now I feel like, okay, we're right on track. And just to give you an idea of where we are in the process. So like it's a Thursday when I'm recording this about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And for the Friday before Thursday, today's a Thursday. So the Friday before, about a week ago, is when I recorded the episode 4. So then on Saturday, I started working on episode 5, and I've been working Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday working on episode 5. Originally, yeah, so that's, and I say, okay, well, it's going good. And so I think what happened was on Saturday and Sunday, I watched the TV show this series is influenced by, and I watched half of the episode, which will do that run through, and then we'll run through my writing notes as I tried to break up that story and then started to see what questions it raises in our story. Sometimes I do a re-listen of the podcast, but I haven't done that yet just because I don't know. I didn't there was so much forward momentum. I wanted to respect how things were going. So this is episode 5. One question while I was going to start talking, and then I said, well, so there's 8 episodes in the series of the streaming show that's influencing this. I don't know if there'll be 8 episodes. I said, well, is there going to be only 8 episodes of Otter things, or is there going to be more? Or is there going to be 8 plus a recap? And I say, I don't know, Scoots. I would prefer there to be 10 or 9, but I don't know. So I guess we'll see, huh? I guess we will see, right? So this episode 5, starts off with the sky. There's a red blinking light. And then we see the Hawkins National Headquarters of Science, we'll say. And it's in nighttime. People are leaving work. And while they're leaving work, Hopper sneaks in. And he says, I want to see what they have in their vending machine and things. So he's kind of going slowly and quietly, circling lights. So then he sees circling lights that says, hey, I don't know if you want to come in here without a aquatic suit. Then there's so he says, oh dear. Then he unzips, there's like a zip door. But behind the zip door is a locked door. Then he gets in trouble. And they say, do you have the proper, what are those things called? Do you have psychic paper? And he says, no, I don't. Also, this door is locked. I'm supposed to be here talking to Matt Modine about just some general questions. And they say, really? And then he says, oh, your shoes are untied. And then he goes and borrows their key, unlocks the door, locks it behind him, tries to permanently lock it behind him. There's a lot that happened in these first few minutes, so that was part of it. Then Lonnie and Joyce are together on the couch. Lonnie tells Joyce to have a drink. And Joyce is really going through this initial change in this episode about her feelings about things and saying, maybe I was wrong. Have I been wrong the whole time? So I said SAD and confused. And then she says, I can't feel this presence anymore. And then she says, don't look like, really, Lonnie is like, out of all the characters in the history of the show, one of the low ball characters, I would say. Maybe like, and I said, is this the same actor who's in those, like in a lot of commercials? But I'm not sure. I think I looked it up 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But she says, Alani, don't look at me like I'm not, like this is in my imagination. And, he says, consider this as maybe in your head, as a coping mechanism. Cause the wall, come on, Joyce, that's not and she says, well, it doesn't make any sense. And then he says, why don't you, after you get some help, get some acceptance, get some help, but first have a drink. Then we go back to Hopper, who's saying, Will, hello, Will. We see a camera. Then we see a kid's, like a dorm room, but it's got, like, it's a kid was there. We see a picture of Papa and the cat. And we see, is that Elle's room? Then a little bit, the chief seems like a little bit not happy, Hulk-like, I would say. Then we see Mike and Elle, empty, cold. What was Will saying? So they're saying, what is Will saying? Like how Hawkins is like the upside down. What if he was there on the other side? So Lucas and Dustin are there too. And they say, like the veil of shadows. Then we go back to Hopper saying, Will, he gets in an elevator as the Hawkins laboratory staff is running after him. Then we kind of, both these are like, then we get like some of the crew kind of putting things together, and also them voiceovering Hopper's journey. Because they look up, okay, veil of shadows. It's a reflection or echo of our world, a non-positive one. We see Hopper open a door as Dustin talks. Things you'd find on the forest floor that are slowly contributing to the biome through their own way. And also, things you think about, the other stuff right next to you, but you don't see it, an alternate dimension. In this, I guess I should, like, I'm doing a read through, but I have notes in here. Like I said, like the real place beyond the swamp. And I said, upside down. What if it's one size down? So those are some brainstorms that came to me. Then the chief is in some snow. Well, how do you get there? The boys are saying, and they say, well, you have to cast Shadow Walk. Well, how do we do that? We don't know. Well, maybe she could cast it. Then they say, do you know how to get there? Then the chief has an OMG moment. Like he coughs. He says, what in the heck? And then we see that he sees the portal. And he says, what in the heck is this thing? Then he senses something else moving. And then I had to watch it a couple times, but it's someone that works there says, oh, Chief, take a little nappy poo. And then we have chapter 5, The Flea and the Acrobat. Really good. That's like a Sleep With Me level title. And we see lights, a door, Jonathan. He goes in, Lonnie and Joyce are on the couch together. He says, what's going on here? And she says, Dad, he says, Dad's here. Well, if you need me, that's what Lonnie says to Jonathan. What happened to Will? Then he's more like, Jonathan wants to talk to his mom. Did it come back? What's going on at the wall? Oh, what happened to the wall? And then he says to Lonnie, you need to leave. And then he says, you need to take care of your mother and not upset her. He says, I was talking to her, and they go back and forth, And he says, you're going to be the one. I think he talks to him alone. Don't push your mom's in a soft spot right now. And they even have a little eye-to-eye stare down. He says, I'm here to help. Behave for your mother. And then he even says, take down that poster off your wall. Then we have this kind of like a montage. Dad and Mike, Nancy and Mom. Nancy says, Mom tries to break through Nancy. Nancy says, I'm fine, Mom. Then we have the dog going into the fort, and the dog's a little down. Jonathan tries to tie his tie unsuccessfully. Joyce stares. They say, time to go. Then the pastor's talking, the Bible, talking about challenging. But the squad is there, and they're not upset because they say they laughed. Dustin laughs. Jennifer's crying. Then there's condolences, but Joyce's arms are crossed. She's shut down. Her back's turned. Then we have a flashback for Will the Wise and casting the ball and saying, sometimes you outsmart, or she says, how come you don't outsmart? And he goes, sometimes your opposition in this game is smart, Mom. And then she says, well, I got to get you some new crayons because it looks like you're casting cabbage and not like other things. Then Hopper wakes up very sweaty. It looks like he passed out from too much fun, but he does a WTF because he knows. He checks everywhere to look for listening stuff, eventually finds it, very upset. Then we see Modine listening. He's listening to Will and Joyce talking. Then we have Nancy and Jonathan with a map, all within a mile, not traveling far. You want to go out there? Yeah, okay. But if what are we going to do? Well, we're going to take care of it. He takes something from his dad's car. Are you serious? We don't have any good ideas. Well, this is the best idea we have. No one will believe us. What about your mom? I'll tell her when everything's done. Then we have the ABV club, and there's a repair person there, but clearly they're from the Hawkins National Science Center, and they're on the case. Then we have a community luncheon, and the boys say, Mr. Clark, can you talk? We have some questions about other dimensions beyond parallel universes, infinite dimensions, non-positive dimensions. Well, how would one travel there? And then Mr. Clark gives an acrobat acrobat and a flea on a tightrope metaphor, which you should see just for yourself. There's rules, but a flea can travel anywhere. And they said, well, what about the acrobat? Could the acrobat travel anywhere? I said, well, if you had enough energy to create a gate. And then Mike says, well, what if the gate already existed? And he said, well, that wouldn't be good if there was already a gate. Then Hopper's coworkers come to see him, and they say, hey, there's we can't find these two hikers are hiking. We got to catch up with them. He says, in Mirkwood, I'll take care of it. And they say, okay. But also we found the Stadies found Barbara's car at the bus station. They keep doing our job for us. And then she says, okay, hit the road. But they also in the car, they said, she's not looking so good. Then Lonnie's fixing the wall. And then Joyce says, leave the lights alone. And we see that he's worried more about who owns the quarry. Then Will is talking to Al. Do you know where the gate is? How do you know about the upside down? Then Dustin says, what about your compasses? That's not true north. Our compasses are broken. No. Compasses are natural. It's just a magnet that's more powerful somehow. so much power. If we follow the compasses, they'll lead us to the gates. Then we see Lonnie in the shower. Joyce finds out that Lonnie's only in it for himself. We see Nancy in her garage warming up. Steve shows up, says, "That's you warming up for me to get rid of me?" He says, "I'm sorry, I was in JERK." And she goes, "Well, did you get busted by your parents?" He goes, "Oh, yeah. Any news on Barb? Let's catch a movie." "I don't think I can. I'm busy. You know, my brother, blah, blah." Then there's a little tension. And she says, "Don't call me, I'll call you." Gives him a kiss on the cheek, not on the cheese. But he's the cheese anyway. And then, so of course. And then she goes back to practice. Then we see Lonnie. Joyce is like, "Get out. Like, you don't care. I can't believe I fell for your nonsense." Then he like takes it down a notch. He says, "You need me. Look around. Look at this place." And she says, "I'll keep the lights up for Will. You hit the road." Then we have Jonathan and Nancy kind of talking and practicing of like spitballs. And Jonathan talks about his dad kind of forcing him like to be, "Oh, you need to be a tough guy like Lonnie." And he said that made him cry for a week. And then they talk about like, this is kind of like your suburban angst moment. Like I say, "Oh, well, you know," Nancy says, "I don't think my parents like each other, you know, just a good nuclear family." They say, "Forget that. Yeah. At the end of a cul-de-sac. No way." Then we see a news report, a phone, a dialing phone. It's Hopper, and then a woman's voice says, "Jim, sigh, I told you not to call me." And he says, "Geez, I was so glad of our 7 years." And she says, "You know what? I got another life now, so I got to go." Then he goes to do something. Then this phone rings again. He just gets rid of it. Then we have our squad on train tracks. It looks a little cold. They're walking 2x2 with their compasses. How will we know? Is Elle acting weirder than normal? Elle's clearly stressed. Then she has a flashback. And she's in bed. How much further than we've ever gone before is what Modine says to her in the bath. "Oh, yeah. In the swimming pool. Yep, you got to go in the swimming pool. Get your swimming suit." And then we see her getting prepped. Little Elle, like she looks really small. She lowers into the pool. Modine waves, then a hand on the glass, and then the door closes. They go, "Mike." She says, "Mike, let's turn back. I'm really tired." He says, "Just a little longer." Then Nancy and Jonathan talk about her picture. Like, who do you see? A girl trying to be someone else. Seemed alone. But when that moment, they could be themselves. And then Nancy says, "You know, Steve's a good guy. I don't know, a bit protective." Jonathan says, "Well, I don't get along with most people, so don't take it personal." And then they kind of start to, and he says, "Oh, you seem like a girl is rebelling," until she realizes she's doing the same thing. Then there's a sigh. So they can't seem to agree. Then Joyce hears a hard knocks on her door. She opens the door. Hopper's there with a sign, "Be quiet, don't say anything." He sees the lights. He says, "Oh, boy." Then the squad gets to the junkyard. They say, "Oh, no, we looped right back around. We're heading home now. Something else is scrambling the compasses." And again, this tension with Lucas being like, "What are you really up to for Elle?" He says, "You're scrambled the compasses. You did it. It admitted using your powers." And they go back and forth till Elle admits that, "Yeah, it's not a good idea." Then we go back to Joyce's house. All the lights are out of the bulbs. Chief's out of breath. Hopper's out of breath. They were listening at my place. Who I want, It wasn't, and then he says, by the way, that wasn't Willow's album, that was a fake. You were right this whole time. And Joyce goes from, like, it has a sad and happy face. Then Lucas and Mike have a disagreement about Al using us. You're like, and that Mike is just trying to please Al. Mike's not happy about that. And wake up, he says, maybe she's the one that, Lucas says, well, we don't know her. We know each other. They disagree. Elle uses her powers to put Lucas to sleep. Then Mike's like, what are you doing? Intervening. Did you scramble him? So he's upset. Then we get our first big flashback where Elle's like in a dream world, listening in, but then she hears another voice. Well, also, Mike said, what was wrong with you twice, which wasn't nice. So she's like in this realm listening to this person speaking Russian, I think. She's broadcasting over the PA system, walking around him really intrigued. But then even Modi notices, oh, there's some other sound. What was that? No idea. Okay, and then Al's gone. Oh, then they go back. Al hears a clicking, and then starts to say, I got to get out of this pool. I'm getting pruned. Then Lucas wakes up and is mad. Then Al's gone. L11, L. Then we have Nancy and Jonathan. At this point, they're using flashlights. Jonathan and Nancy, there's some tension, but then they say, wait a second, there's some, and then they find some forest friends. Then they follow the forest friend. Then somehow they get split up. There's like a hole. Nancy discovers a goopy hole in a tree. And and even has a breathing. And Nancy leans in, gets close. She's like, Jonathan, where are you? Somehow he walked off. She leaves her backpack, leans in, then goes in, very courageous. And then she's in the upside down, and her light's going on and off. It's snowing. There's water sounds. And then she sees another world friend. It's still the forest. Then we see Jonathan. He's looking for Nancy. There's sound effects. Nancy, where are you? And then Nancy's like, I got to get out of here too. Then she trips. Jonathan goes the wrong way, and the episode came to a close. So that was the episode. Then I took a day or maybe even 2 days to separate all the plots. So I was like, okay, what is Hopper's thing? Into lab, challenge 1, deeper kids room, into the world of shadows, sees a portal, oh goodness, passed out WTF, coworkers come, you okay? Barb in the Stadies calls his ex, goes to Joyce, be quiet, I know. Then Joyce was kind of like, Lonnie's here to help. You've kind of you need to cope. The moment, community event, then looking back with Will the Wise, outsmart, outmaneuver, but what if they're also smart? Then Lonnie working on the wall, but the stuff about the quarry, you get out. Then Hopper comes, hey, you were right about Will, and there's something else going on. Then we have our group of kids. What was Will saying? Upside down, the veil. Do you know how to get there? Also remember Lab's on the case. Mr. Clark, infinite dimensions, terror in time and space. L, first gate, compasses, train tracks, questions and worries, flashback, 1, go back, Mike, L controls compasses, junkyard, showdown, WTF, Lucas, Mike, also flashback number 2, things are real, then L's gone. Then we have Nancy and Jonathan, Lonnie's BS, the community event, find, What about your mom? We'll tell her after. Nancy and Steve, okay, bye. Nancy and Jonathan, practice talking dads, bunnies, suburb values, and then off. They get close, and then they disagree about Steve and values. Then into, they go looking around. They see a forest friend. Somehow they split up. Nancy goes into the veil and then goes to run back. Jonathan's looking for her. So then it was kind of like trying to figure out some of the stuff from the story. But there was questions like, okay, Lenny, what was it like Lenny doing? Okay, maybe it's a record company owes us part of future earnings. And then I was like, oh, what if Lenny, when Willow, when he lived there, he made Willow, even when she was a little kid, sign something in crayon saying that Lenny could be her agent for all future earnings when she became famous. Maybe Joyce Francis is like, there's tears on that, Lenny. Even back then, can't believe you made her write out a contract and you were kind of partly serious. Okay, then more questions. What is a community event? What does Leon find? What is the listening? Where does Leon live? What is Francis's flashback with Willow? What is the portal? What are Billy's flashbacks and songs? What song does Billy use against LJ? What happened? What was up with Barb or Babs? What is this stuff like? Instead of the thing. Community. So instead of the community event, what's the community event? Community Resource Day, symbolic day, mostly where everyone drops acorn in what looks like an old tree, but is really a storage vault or something. Every person must pause and look at all the members of the community. Maybe they have to sing, like, is there one song, members of the community think about what they've consumed over the past year, say thank you to everyone, think about what they have done and have not done to support the community resources. Do they say it? Do they sing it? Do they say I'm sorry? Or do they just say I'm sorry? That they'll do better. They promise to help. Since it was all sung, it could be very powerful and dramatic ceremony. Some people love it. Some people dislike it. But maybe most of the time it's a very fun, like, festival. But not this time because of the stuff with Willow hanging over everyone, of insulting the town and embarrassment for the friends and Francis. And people are a little bit mad. Maybe they blame Francis. Maybe they blame Lenny. Okay, then Leon, like this idea of like community resources versus a larger swamp-wide organization that's versus humans. Okay, and then what's it like? What's listening to him? Everything that's a can, anything that's saucer shaped is listening. First, does he drop some saucers? Then does he go to his roof, radio, relay? What else does he find out at the lab? What's a portal? Then I did a little map of levels because we talked about it in one episode. It's like, okay, there's a regular visitor center. Then there's like the office level. Then there's another more modern level. Then there's elevators down. Then I was sketching out. I'm like, oh, maybe that could be boring too. Like there's a boring office level. Then there's a dorm level with cafeteria. Then there's a boring electronics level. Then there's like a fake storage area. Then there's like something secure. Then there's like the recording studio. Then maybe anti-human classrooms and training. Then like even lower. Then lower again to the portal beyond the swamp. Okay, then Leon, where does Leon live? In a tree house. He's not a tree frog, but he figured he likes the view up there. And plus there's plenty of food delivery. Frances could have her flashback with Willow. It could be like writing parody D&D songs, like Double Clicks or Judy Tenuta, Heroines. But then there's also like this, that Will is trying to say, hey, there's an edge to this song of the bad bards, the non-good magic users. And that was kind of like where I left off. So, yeah, I guess we'll see what comes up, so get comfortable. And there you go. Good night. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, and my patron peeps. Hey, patrons, it's Scoots. Welcome to an exclusive, patron-only, behind-the-scenes look at pre-creating, before the creation of Otter Things. This will be Otter Things episode, 6, I think, or 5B. Or 5B, 6A probably would be more accurate. So, I mean, I guess. So this is really where you could sleep, but if you listen to this other times, and this will be the second half probably of an episode, even more interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or wait, am I going to work on 6 next week? I don't know. But anyway, not super important, but so this is where I take a look at before I record an episode. Usually it's a week ahead of time. Now it is a day or two. This is Wednesday that I'm recording this, Wednesday in June. And then tomorrow will be Thursday or Friday, I will record the episode of Otter Things. But this is the kind of exclusive look you don't get as a regular listener, only as a patron, because the show, like I say it, but the show would not exist without you. Or it would come out, every other week or something instead of twice a week. But so anyway, so here's what happened. So last week on Friday, I recorded Otter Things episode 5, which you probably just heard me talking about because usually I decided to put these episodes in pairs. But what was interesting, there's a couple interesting things. Probably a theme you've heard about is always the theme of the deadlines and getting the episodes done in the moving train of making episodes and releasing episodes on an ongoing basis. And with the written stories, like I've decided to put them out every record them every 2 weeks, which the episodes come out more often than every 2 weeks. So that means like I'm losing ground. But we've also have our all intro episodes, which give us some space. And then the recap episode, which gives us a week or buys us 1 episode cycle. But still, like I say, oh boy, like I like to have at least 4 episodes done. So like when episode 5 comes out, or episode 1 comes out, that means episode 5 just got recorded. And we've fallen off of that because, again, I'm stretching out the writing time to just about 2 weeks. If it goes faster than 2 weeks, great. In the past, I stuck to 10 days, but because of the changes in my life routine, because of the changes in the world, I'm only able to record episodes on full episodes because that takes like an hour and a half on Monday or Thursday or Friday. I don't have time on Tuesday or Wednesday to do that. So so that was one thing. I said, oh boy, we're losing ground here. Do I need to worry? And I said, no, we don't need to worry. We'll figure it out, and we got time. And otherwise we could just take a break in between when we get done with Otter Things, and we'll just run some Tuesday episodes while we record the next series, which would probably be our holiday series, I'm guessing. So I said, okay. But then I said, well, the other thing is that I think there's only 8 or 9 episodes of Otter Things, maybe even 7. I'm not actually sure. I think it's 8 or 9. And I said, okay, so we're going to have an 8-episode season or 9 and then a recap, or a 9-episode season and a recap. I'd like to have 10 or 11, but those things aren't always under my control. But and you can't force these things, I guess, is what I've learned. But what happens is organically sometimes positive stuff happens. Put that on a cross stitch or a T-shirt. But last week I was recording the episode 5, corresponding to the episode 5 of the TV show, the streaming show. And I'm always also concerned with time of the episodes, because the episodes have to be over an hour. And even when I'm writing and I'm telling the story, I'm saying, okay, where are we on the clock? are we going to have enough material that when the episode's edited, that the episode portion is whatever, 45 minutes to 50 minutes long. But we also don't want to go over edited down, not recorded. Recorded and edited are different. Like a lot of stuff gets taken out, but we don't want to have too much time because then it's like, well, anything over like 60, you say, well, wait a second, is that not good time management since these series were losing ground? But for the most part, it's always making sure we have plenty of stuff to fill the time that we have, so there's plenty of meanders and stuff. So I sat down to record last week's episode, and I had what I considered 50 to 60 minutes of material, which would have taken me about an hour and a half to record or something. And of course, I was also worried. I said, well, is this going to be enough? But I thought it was like just going to fit right. And I said, well, maybe it'll be not exactly sure where the tangents are going to be. And now looking back at it, I realized I did have more material and going back over it, but I didn't have 2 episodes of material for sure. So it wasn't like a clear, I said, well, maybe this is like 65 minutes. But then as I started recording last week's episode, I don't know, there was just a lot of natural tangents and some of the storytelling took longer than I thought and there was more details to explore. And so when we hit the midpoint, as we were leading up to the midpoint of the episode, and the midpoint of our episode had a lot more details in a bigger, because it wasn't the same as the midpoint of the regular episode. I said, well, it's different because that was where everybody said, bye-bye, Will. But most of the people knew Will was still around, except Joyce didn't, and Hopper was out and he was asleep. So when we got to the midpoint, I didn't think and I mean midpoint, I guess, in the story sense, but also usually tends to be towards the middle of the episode. But that was like a moment, like a clear midpoint moment where it's like, okay, this is where we say goodbye to Will. And then the story, so it's like a pause. It was also a pause in the story. And so our story had a bigger event because it was a community-based event, much more sleepy. Celebration of Community Resource Day, kind of part of the important lore of the swamp and our swamp community. And so leading up to it, I said, wait a second. And also we had like a little bit more with Bull Leon exploring the place beneath the swamp. So as the episode unfolded, I was watching the time. I said, oh boy, like, we're at 45 minutes and we haven't got to the resources or something. That's recording time. And he said, wait a second, maybe this will be, is this going to be, because I said, well, we can't break after I said, where would we break it if we're going to break it up? So anyway, it ended up, I broke it at the end of the community resource event. And then I said to myself, okay, now we'll record in a week instead of 2 weeks. We'll record the second half of this episode, but maybe we'll need another 15 minutes of material from the show. So then I watched like the first to third of the show. And then I went back to work. And actually, because today's Wednesday, I was really working, plotting. And then reading through the notes and looking at everything. So I pretty much have a pretty finalized thing. But what's also interesting is a lot more of this got developed since I recorded your episode. So I'm going to read through what I have. So some of this will be from the episode 5, and some of it will be from episode 6. So this is like where... And I'll actually point out some other things, and then it'll make sense in a minute. You also have this spread across 2 notebooks in this case, because I was getting close to the end of one notebook, but also because I said, well, I'm not exactly sure if this is going to be episode 6 and 7 or how it's all going to come out when I record it. Okay, so as I open, so the episode was opened with Joyce and Lenny going to sleep, Leon going into the lab, past the first few rounds. I think we talked about that, like the map I made, until he thinks he hears singing. This is like a short version where he's about to give up. Our squad brainstorms ideas. What did Willow say? Tower. After we got it working again, as they wonder, how do we find it? Leon goes lower till he gets to glowing lower spiral staircase. Lullaby to sleep. Dari v. Lenny. Lenny v. Francis. Then community resource day. Prep first. Francis. Then Dari and Lenny. Embarrassment at the resource day. Our squad thinking Willow's missing out. A teacher talking. What are questions? What is a metaphor? You would need years of water, nutrients, sunlight, and more. But to also communicate, well, that would work. It would take something magical, like a jump in evolution, like a myth of the humans. Wait, were we separate or in parallel with them? Well, we live in a more balanced and community-based way. They did not, so that's why we're flourishing. So anyway, if there was a tower and that went up and down, how would we find it? Well, that would be an adventure, wouldn't it? You would have to find the tower. Normally from something like this would be hard to find, like the towers in the story. Okay, then Francis's house, a flashback to D&D songs. Okay, now we're separated. That's where that story kind of ended, was with those two story points out of order. So this is not necessarily, my notes are layered. So I have a big F with a circle. That's for Francis's first story point of this episode we're going to record this week. Finds Lenny's jacket and a napkin, where Lenny becomes Willow's agent. She disagrees with Lenny and sends him out. Leon wakes up at home. This is story point L1. WTF, other workers show up, missing music. The music store owner moved to the big city, took a job with that record company. Also, Bab's mom found a contract with the record company, another record company further away, with a letter saying goodbye and that she would send walnuts. So I don't know. Like this will probably change in the recording because I'm feeling like, some of this I'm not sure about. Okay, then we're at story point S1. Okay, squad's talking to Billy, asking about the tower. Then Vaughn brings up tuning forks, maybe with a mic, electromagnetic, all of them making sound from some powerful sympathetic vibration, reverberates. How did we make it? Didn't we make an electromagnetic tuning fork? Okay, this is going to be matched up with story point L1, so this is more of L1, which I decided after, like as I'm going through the notes and kind of seeing what works and what doesn't. Okay, job, who is performing? Oh, he's calling. He calls. So this is his phone call. Oh, who's Leon the Legend? Is that you on the phone? Oh, who's performing tonight? Then he looks over every saucer shape in his place, listening to him. Maybe his grandmother's own fancy tea set in one of the top cupboards. Oh, dear. Okay, then this will be separated for later. L2, oh, snap, drives over to Francis's house, should be quiet, searches the wind chimes. We could just talk next to this fan, like when you're at the therapist. Okay, Francis, you were right. The whole thing is fake. Willow's album, all of it. Then how do we find her? Okay, meanwhile, this is back to S2 maybe. I didn't see this even, so I got to write that down. So this is good. We're going through this. Okay, so LJ and Vaughn follow the tuning fork, follow the tuning fork, follow. Oh, follow. Maybe they're singing that as a song. Quiet. How are we supposed to hear the tuning fork if you're singing? What about with you talking? We can hear it between the words. Don't you think that, then they're talking. Oh, that was just so stupid. Don't you think that Duck Beaver's acting odd? I suppose. But then Willow saying, geez, I think we should go back. Maybe I need a snack. Then we have Billy 1, a story point where first flashback, which is the song Signs from Tesla. Can you sing and see in another room? Keep walking. Then we go to this skips stuff. We're at S2 and B2. So Squad 2 and Billy 2. Back edge, because I don't know, this one, it seems like it's better off breaking up every story into 2 parts, where the show would break it up even into more parts. It's not as cohesive for a bedtime story. Okay, so we're at the back edge of the transfer station. We're almost back in town. Well, that was pointless. Pull out your tuning fork. So listen, this can't be right. Wait a second. I can hear Billy throat singing. You did this. Are you even listening? Okay, then we go into flashback to the song Impulsive, Runaway. Then we have T2, so that's the movie, Tefe and Dari, DT2. Oh, yeah, DT2. Okay, so they're the backyard, back and forth. This is when they're exploring rebellion, mixtapes. So actually, maybe this is DT1. Some of this misanthropy, wanting something more, whole system, wondering if this something of rumors is true, else believe all of it, goose droppings. So this is when I ran out of writing time to record. Goose droppings so it just goes into, we're running around a treehouse made of tree into the silent realm. And so that was the last thing I had for that episode 5, which is good because I didn't have enough writing time to actually reach a conclusion. So then I broke out the plot of the first 15 minutes of that episode and then broke it into, I'm just going to go over the separate story parts I have. So we have J and N, left off where we were last episode. So break equals comeback. J and N, Jonathan and Nancy. I don't know what those mean. Like last episode. Nancy plays hide and seek. Jonathan makes some loud talking. Come to my voice. She hides. Then she's saying, here I am. Then she listens. Then Jonathan finds a tree hole, but he doesn't go into it. Then she comes out. He pulls her out. Then we have Steve and the cool crew. They go to her house. He sees Jonathan and Nancy. He does a what? Then we have Nancy in the shower thinking back about the events, but they seem to have like a definite attachment to her. She obviously doesn't want to, neither one of them wants to be alone. Jonathan sleeps on the floor. Then they say, no, and then the next morning, we got to figure this out. We got to use a bait move to catch this. Then we have Hopper and Joyce. They have the first third of the episode. They are back. They open up going over everything like they did last episode, but the Hopper's going over the details in the lab. Kids' room, drawings a clue. But it's not Will because of the quality of it. Shaved head kid. What about that shaved head kid? Am I chasing after some other kid the whole time? And then we see that they're headed to try to track down Terry Ives. Then we have a little aside from the lab. The teacher somebody from the lab undercover for a AV Club newsletter shows up. But who do you suggest? Then we have Dustin and Mike going over things. Apologize or else you're out of the party. And then we have 11 with a flashback. okay, today's the day we make contact, or like after her other flashbacks. What I don't have in the notes here that I don't see is like a pretty extensive 11. It must be in an earlier set of, like obviously it's still Wednesday. So I still have 2 days of writing before I record this. But there is supposed to be a pretty extensive look at the second flashback of Billy, which takes place in first like looking at street signs and then looking at tourist signs, and then realizing one of the tourist signs is actually it's leading to an attraction that is a tower. So that part isn't in here. I mean, it's in the earlier notes that I got to mark up so I can refer back to them. Also did a recap of the last episode. I don't think that's super important about it size down. Don't forget that, Drew. Something odd. Leon albums fit together too well. This is just episode 5. Bird call analysis. Snuck in big bog walk levels, stretching room. Oh, don't forget that either. Shoe tie trick, cubicle level, offices, hidden door, cafeteria, dorm. Here's step by step, new frogs on the block. Squad sense, no sound, size down. Oh, up and down. Silent tower goes up and down. Silent realm. Telepathy, that's odd. Well, how do we get there? Portal to Silent Realm? Has tower not grown? Double question mark. Broom closet. Also some language that I wasn't comfortable. I said, oh, wait a second. I don't like I keep getting Leon, Bull, and Hopper and trying to separate like all that out. A broom closet, storage, down, frog. Lullaby to sleep, Francis, Lenny, here to help, resource day, here to help, your mom, help, community resource day, event, take down the poster of jug drinking, seasonal resource day, upbeat fun, Willow's album, blowback, prepare, community to big fair, a day off, tree, strange, song of thanks and gratitude, deep drop acorn, thank you, I'm sorry, I'll do better, lots of looks, Francis flashback, Dari glares, music, bad bards, oh, that's the flashback, moose, cider, go nuts, is telepathy real, senses, magic, evolution, tower, organic, up and down like a tree. How would you find it? The vibration, divining. Then they all fall asleep conveniently. Okay, plots to do. Francis finds note, kicks out Lenny. Rest of squad stuff. Leon wakes up. Other workers calls X. All the things listening in. Joyce's house. Go over stuff in the lab. Kids, what about other kids, other news, the mystery, last left off, remembering wrongly. Oh, this is just notes. Remembering wrongly so this is like the opening. So this is more plotting. So last left off, Willow remembering wrongly what the moose told them. We've decided to leave the fair and not have fun. Then go to F1 AM. Francis v. Lenny, then go to L1 notes, Leon wakes up, then go to S1 notes, which is squad, tuning fork, light bulb, then flashback number 1, B1. Don't forget Billy is worried, Willow. Signs in other rooms, street signs, local, then state, okay, then them walking on the tracks. Then we have DT1, Dari, and Tefe trying to plan out this. What are they going to do? Humane bunny, giant bunny. Then we have L2 to Francis's house, fill her in on everything. Then S2 and B2. Wait a second. We're back where we started. This has happened before. Disagreement. Long B2 flashback. But make sure you have time for DT2, which is where they are playing hide and seek and lost and found in the forest. And then time check again. Do we go to the DT 3, where they're coming up with their new plan, and S3, which would be the apology, or not. And that's everything we have right now for episode 6 of Otter Things. Thanks for the support, patrons, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about Helix. And you got to keep Helix in mind when you're doing your holiday hosting. And when you're thinking about your family, say, are you going to be comfortable this holiday season, this winter? Because I'm thinking of a couple people in my family that could use that trip to helixsleep.com/sleep to take that Helix sleep quiz. I'm thinking of my brother. I'm thinking of my dad. But I don't know if you have guests coming. What could be better than tucking them in a nice, comfortable Helix? Or as your kids are getting older, maybe it's time to upgrade their mattress as well. Maybe it's a self-gifting time, and you need a Helix. Have you taken the Helix quiz? How's the mattress you're sleeping in now? Was it made for you, your sleep preferences, your feel preferences? Because you've heard me talking about my Helix for years, how it fits my needs because I took that Helix quiz. You know, I sleep on my side, I sleep on my stomach. The Helix quiz matches me each time. I mean, I'm getting ready to embark on a whole new long-term relationship now that I moved with a Helix mattress, and I really miss my Helix Dusk Luxe. It kept me from overheating at night, kept me comfortable whether it was on my side or my stomach or my back. But it's not about one mattress to fit everyone. It's about matching you with a mattress that's going to fit you and your needs, or you and your partner's needs. So take that quiz. See helixsleep.com/sleep. You deserve a new bed. Your guests deserve a new bed. And of course, Helix has an amazing deal for our listeners. So go to helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide during their Black Friday sale. This offer is exclusive for listeners of Sleep With Me. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for this exclusive offer. 27% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. That's helixsleep.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody.